welcome back to my book corner for another story time with me, Rockin' Ryan. Now, today I've chosen a Julia Donaldson book that I love, and it's called The Smartest Giant in Town, and it's all about a giant who decides to smarten himself up a little bit, puts on a tie and some nice socks, shirt and trousers, but then he meets some friends along the way and helps them out, doing a very, very good deed. So, are you ready? I'm ready. Let's turn on those listening ears. Click! And this is The Smartest Giant in Town by Julia Donaldson. Here we go. George was a giant, the scruffiest giant in town. He always wore the same pair of old brown sandals and the same old patched up gown. "Oh, I wish I wasn't the scruffiest giant in town," he said sadly. But one day, George noticed a new shop. It was full of smart clothes, so he bought a smart shirt, a smart pair of trousers, a smart belt, a smart stripy tie, some smart socks with diamonds up the sides, and a pair of smart shiny shoes. "Oh, now I'm the smartest giant in town," he said proudly. George left his old clothes behind in the shop. He was about to go home when he heard a sound. On the pavement stood a giraffe who was sniffing sadly. "What's the matter?" asked George. "It's my neck," said the giraffe. "It's so very long and so very cold. Oh, I wish I had a long, warm scarf." "Cheer up," said George, and he took off his stripy tie. "It didn't match my socks anyway," he said, as he wound it round and around the giraffe's neck. "It made a wonderful scarf." "Oh, thank you," said the giraffe. As George strode towards home, he sang to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, but look me up and down. I'm the smartest giant in town." George came to a river. On a boat stood a goat who was bleating loudly. "What's the matter?" asked George. "Meh, it's my sail," said the goat. "It blew away in a storm. I wish I had a strong new sail for my boat." "Cheer up," said George, and he took off his new white shirt. "It kept coming untucked anyway," he said, as he tied it to the mast of the goat's boat. "It made a magnificent sail." "Thank you," said the goat. George strode on, singing to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, my shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat, but look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town." George came to a tiny ruined house. Beside the house stood a white mouse with lots of baby mice. They were all squeaking. "What's the matter?" asked George. "It's our house," squeaked the mother mouse. "It burnt down and now we have nowhere to live. Oh, I wish we had a nice new house." "Cheer up," said George, and he took off one of his shiny shoes. "It was giving me blisters anyway," he said, as the mouse and her babies scrambled inside. The shoe made a perfect home for them. "Thank you," they squeaked. George had to hop along the road now, but he didn't mind, and as he hopped, he sang to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, my shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat, my shoe is a house for a little white mouse, but look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town." George came to a campsite. Beside a tent stood a fox who was crying. "What's the matter?" asked George. "It's my sleeping bag," said the fox. "I dropped it in a puddle. I wish I had a warm, dry sleeping bag." Cheer up, said George, and he took off one of his socks with diamonds at the sides. It was tickling my toes anyway, he said, as the fox snuggled into it. It made a very fine sleeping bag. Thank you, said the fox. George hopped on, singing to himself. My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. My shoe is a house for a little white mouse. One of my socks is a bed for a fox. But look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town. George came to a big squelchy bog. Beside the bog stood a dog who was howling. What's the matter? Asked George. It's this bog, said the dog. I need to get across, but I keep getting stuck in the mud. Oh, I wish there was a safe, dry path. Cheer up, said George, and he took off his smart new belt. It was squashing my tummy anyway, he said as he laid it down over the bog. It made an excellent path. Oh, thank you, said the dog. The wind started to blow, but George didn't mind. He hopped on, singing to himself. My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. My shoe is a house for a little white mouse. One of my socks is a bed for a fox. My belt helped a dog who was crossing a bog, but my trousers are falling down. I'm the coldest giant in town. Suddenly, George felt sad and shivery, not at all smart. He stood on one foot and thought, I'll have to go back to the shop and buy some more clothes. He turned round and hopped all the way back to the shop. But when he got there, it was closed. Oh no, cried George. He sank down onto the doorstep and a tear ran down his nose. He felt as sad as all the animals he had met on his way home. Then out of the corner of his eye, he saw a bag with something familiar poking out the top. George took a closer look. My gown! He yelled. My dear old gown and sandals! George put them on. They felt wonderfully comfortable. Oh, I'm the cosiest giant in town, he cried, and he danced back home along the road. Outside his front door stood all the animals he had helped. They were carrying an enormous present. Come on, George, they said. Open it. George untied the ribbon. Inside was a beautiful gold paper crown and a card. Look inside the card, George, said the animals. George put the crown on his head and opened the card. Inside it said, Your tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. Your shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. Your shoe is a house for a little white mouse. One of your socks is a bed for a fox. Your belt helped a dog who was crossing a bog. So here is a very fine crown to go with the sandals and gown of the kindest giant in town. And that is the end. He was a very kind giant, wasn't he? He was very smart, but he was very, very kind. What a nice thing for the animals to do, and to write him a nice card with lots of pictures. And of course, that beautiful gold sparkling crown. I wonder if you could make a card. It could be a card for somebody you live with to say thank you for looking after you. It could be a card you could pop in the post box and send it to a relative or a friend. It could be for anybody. So why don't you make a very, very special card with lots of colours, lots of beautiful writing, and that would make you a very, very kind person indeed. So, I think it's time for sleep, don't you? Let's all close our eyes nice and tight. No snoring. And I'll see you back here next time for another story time in my book one with me, Rockin' Ryan. But for now, bye-bye. See you next time.